Hello traders, Damien here. I thought it's important to make the video today highlighting the mistakes of today's session. Sometimes when we get out of our trade plan off of the beginning, brings in that invitation to continue on that course and stay undisciplined. That is definitely what I did today, even though I had technical reasons. What I felt at the time were technical reasons to get in. I overlooked a very important factor that's critical to our analysis of what we do, and that is the order flow. Okay, so I kept chasing a situation that the overall order flow was not supportive of. However, I kept upon that path stubbornly and kept taking on trades that just kept losing. So in short, even though we're taking trades that may be consistent with our trade plan, we have to consider the overall factors as to why we might be taking those trades. For example, the expectation, the order flow, and the bar by bar. I focus more on the bar by bar and the expectations versus actually less the expectation or a combination thereof. In other words, I was a mess today. So here you have a situation that I am a disciplined trader. I do follow my trade plan. I am a successful professional. But every now and then we have these days where we just are consumed by a lack of discipline and we go rogue. And the easiest thing to do is just to stop and walk away when you realize it. I didn't do that. I kept trading, and I just made a bad situation worse. So just to show you that it happens to even myself from time to time, and it doesn't anger me, it doesn't frustrate me. What it does is I do revisit these days because it's important for me to see where I went wrong, where I steered away from my trade plan, why, and it also reinforces the need to stay on the trade plan and to stay disciplined above all else, not to chase a certain hypothesis, if you would, of what price can do or should do when you have order flow telling you otherwise, or some of the elements that you use to analyze strength and weakness telling you otherwise, telling you to stay away from trading in that direction because you're trading in the direction of weakness and you're not trading in the direction of strength. All important factors that I use pretty routinely and consistently throughout the time. I pointed out to you guys all the time. However, today I was a victim of my own mistakes, getting some of that tunnel vision in line and just staying on an undisciplined course. When that happens, the outcome is usually bad. So tomorrow we'll focus on my trade plan, I will focus on discipline, and I will focus on making sure that the technical elements that I use to evaluate the strength and weakness are at the forefront of my decision and not overlooked by a certain hypothesis. Today I came into a market that was bullish from the beginning. I did see that there was a fair amount of accumulation on the bear side, so imbalance should have favored the bears, but just because that is the situation doesn't mean it's going to happen. Notice I said the imbalance should, not will, should favor the bears. So what did I do? I held price to any sort of strong rotation that would comply with that hypothesis, and I took it aggressively, even though the order flow was telling me otherwise. Okay, and I'm going to point those things out so that you can see how mistakes compounded by other mistakes just create an overall bad situation. So overall I lost today $2,100. Not a big deal. It's a small amount of money, but nonetheless it is a product of undisciplined trading. And had I been following the order flow, had I been following the expectations, it could have been $2,100+ in my favor as opposed to donating it to the market. Okay, so enough beating myself up for that. Let's get into the actual trades. Let's get into the thought process behind what I was doing, and see how sometimes when we overlook certain things, the market can appear a certain way and we can chase that, but the reality is quite different. Okay, so here we are. We came into today. The market opened here yesterday afternoon. Overnight, produced a new structure high. Good volume, good momentum. We see that over here, the market will look like very heavy volume accumulation to the downside. The market did come up, didn't quite consume way up here, but there was a lot of accumulation down here. So imbalance should have favored. When I saw this, it looked like the market was getting primed for that. I saw that the buyers had a hard time climbing up here. There's a lot of selling pressure, some really nice volume candles in between here. A move that produced a higher low, okay? And when the market came in here with decent volume, and I got the rotation here late, okay? Notice I broke rule number 1. This is the first rotation. This was what? An expensive entry into what? An area where price is trying to find support, okay? Right here, mistake number 2. Mistake number 3, what is the expectation? New structure high. I knew that there was a new structure high. I pointed out to you guys I was trading against the expectation, and I don't like to do that, but I saw what I wanted to see in this shorter term situation and bullied myself by a couple of candles into a trade, okay, where I didn't have room to protect, where I was against the expectation, and where I entered on a second rotation as opposed to the first one. So made a lot of mistakes right here, right off the bat, okay. Then, okay, I allowed price to not only make a new structure high against me, okay, which that would have been all of my reasons for getting into this trade were null and void here. I should have been finding a way out from here. Instead, I allowed price to come back into structure and make another new structure high against me. At which point, I increased my stop, another break of my rules. So now I had, I already, all the reasons for getting into this trade were nullified here. So now I just doubled down on the loss, okay, added to a losing position as opposed to a rescue mission that I was thinking, okay, which, what do we see here? Projection, right? Very short pullback. What does that mean? Strength of the buying, weak pullback into an area of structure. What do we have here? Better momentum. What do we have? Increase in projection. We have a strengthening market to the top side. Although I really didn't increase to my trade, and at the time I was thinking, okay, we have an ABCD completion here. Oh crap, sorry guys. We have a ABC pattern completion here. My risk is very small. We had a nice rotation. I just was thinking of a rescue mission to bring my entry to about here, which it was somewhere around here. I got the best I got was minus 14 points. Again, I felt market highs. The market should roll over here. Balance should favor the bears. I was seeing what I want to see and not the writing on the wall. Look at the momentum here increase from swing to swing. Look at the projection increase. We're accelerating and producing strength into this area of resistance. What have I always said? Areas of support and resistance are expected to hold unless what? They are approached with strength, right? Another oversight on my part. Okay, and I was taken out here. Fortunately, this didn't add much to my overall loss. But what happened here? Very shallow correction, even shallower than this one. Not into an area of structure. Price made in the short term, very, very short term. What? Couldn't even correct in the short term. We just have acceleration in the short term as well. Projection. Look at the projection here. Look at the projection here. Look at the projection here. Again, chased another, okay, stubborn ideology that this is a double top market high, okay, and we're going down. This market has to be overbought. This imbalance should still favor the bears. Chasing a hypothesis that's not in line with the overall what? Order flow analysis. So I got short here again, okay, like a moron. All right, and then the market produced a very weak correction and came up. Now I had the sense here to get out of this with just my 20 points. There was a longer term ABCD pattern completing here as well, which was fine. That's why I also got short here. So that's fine. Although the reasons for getting into this trade with the intraday order flow strengthening against me were should have been a big clue to not get in at this pattern completion. Overall, it looks like the momentum here. I'm sorry, let me draw it out for you guys. When we look at the strength here and we bring that forward, okay, here, it looks like the momentum is less in the overall larger picture, which it is. We got less momentum. When we look at the intraday order flow, all we see is what? Strengthening, price moving, accelerating and producing stronger moves to the upside, weaker corrections. This should have been a huge red flag to search for a short here. Okay, so I got taken out here. Then my parents came over and to pick some things up and stuff like that. So I wasn't in here for all this. So then I come back here late in the session and I see, again, market's overbought. The market is looking to come down. I need to be aggressive here. Okay, wasn't thinking that I needed to make up the losses. That wasn't what was on my mind, or that I've lost too much, that I need to get out, or that I was undisciplined, that I was a wreck today. None of that crossed my mind. What crossed my mind was this market has to be overbought. Look, the market can make a new structure high. We have good volume entering the market here. This market is severely overbought. People don't feel good about continuing to buy at these highs. And ultimately, I was kind of right. Okay, but these are not the right reasons for getting into this trade, because the expectation is nothing more than a new structure high, and the expectation was for a weak pullback. When we look at the projection, it just keeps increasing. Momentum, volume, everything keeps strengthening like hell to the upside. But what did I do? I see good volume here. I see a short-term new structure low. I see the bulls struggle to come up. I see a huge rotation to the downside. And just like that, I commit another mortal sin, trading against strength, trading against the expectation of a shallow pullback and a new structure high. The double whammy. Okay, I traded against that. Another undisciplined trade. My stop loss was 20 points, which was at this point. At one point, the market came up, okay, and then came down with some pretty good volume. I was up 10, 12 points. Then the market came up with a little bit of weakness here. I still felt like I was okay, and the market eventually took me out by a few points and then rolled over somewhat. This market may still be overbought, may still come down all the way to here. Who knows? Who cares? The point is, and I will close this video here and try to keep it under 15 minutes, is that I traded against expectations. I saw what I wanted to see. I didn't use the order flow to help guide me through the strength and weakness of the chart. Okay, I had technical reasons that were consistent with my trade plan, one-to-one completion. Okay, we had a number of those that I took. Okay, but what I failed to do was analyze the strength of that signal. Was that that trade worth taking? What did the order flow look like? Okay, and I failed to do that, and that is critical. Just because a pattern completes doesn't mean we can take it blindly. And today, I took these trades more on blindness and a hypothesis that the market should favor imbalance to the downside and should be overbought, as opposed to following my process, letting the price action guide me, listen to the order flow analysis. These are all critical mistakes that will keep us either profitable or going into ruin. Today is an example of how it can take you into ruin. So no one likes a losing day. No one likes to be beat up by the market. But every now and then when you're undisciplined and the market punishes you like this, I'll take it. I'm accountable for my trading. I'm accountable for my decision making. I realize that I make some mistakes today, and this is part of the postpartum. Whether you have a good day, okay, it's not that important. But when you have a losing day, when you seem to be fighting the market where something's off, go back, revisit your trades, revisit the session, okay, as close to the session as possible because the information is fresh in your mind, okay, and see what the order flow was telling you. See what the entries that you took, okay, were they in line with the overall thought process you had in time? And if you did, and if there were losers, okay, that's fine. But on a day like today, okay, I was completely off, and that happens from time to time to the best of us. We all have undisciplined days. We all have emotional days. We all have days where we see what we want to see and not what's there. Okay, So, I'm going to slap myself with my trade plan, which is right here on my desk, on the mic. All right. Lesson learned. Tomorrow, I will strive to be a better trader than I was today, to be on my trade plan, to be on my technical analysis. I wasn't completely off my trade plan today, but I was off my process. My process allows me to evaluate the strength of the signals that I am looking to take. I completely disregarded all sense of that today. And it cost me $2,100 and change. Not a large amount of money, but enough to sting, piss you off, and let you know that you're a better trader than that, and that today I conducted myself in an improper manner and in an unacceptable manner. So enough said, and tomorrow we will do more and better. I will see you guys on the battlefield tomorrow, and we will be more on top of all of the facets, or all of the disciplines that we employ. When we have a setup, we will make sure that we consult the expectation, we will consult the order flow analysis, and then we will refer to the bar by bar to give us the timing on our entry. Till tomorrow, take care, and I hope this post mortem session had value to you. Thank you.